Test, test. Test, test.
Test, test. Test, test.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Varsity Chalk Talk, the Week 5 of the football season edition. We are live here out at the Hooley House in Westlake, 24940 Sperry Drive, as I said, in Westlake. My name is John Boehm. I am the sports editor of the Morning Journal out in Lorain. Normally, I am joined by my co-hosts, Mr. Dave Ramnarine and Andy Jardy, neither of which are here today. Ram is out of town, and Andy is busy with Cavs Media Day, so he couldn't make it out for his duties with Fox Sports Ohio. So we have a special guest today here. His name is Fouad Shalhout. He is one of the sports reporters for the Morning Journal. Fouad, thank you for coming out today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. First time over here on Chalk Talk, so I'm excited about it.
You know, Fouad, since, like I said, this is your first time out here, why don't you give the listeners a little bit of your background in sports journalism? That way they can be a little more familiar with who you are.
Sure. So I actually grew up in Detroit, Michigan for most of my life, and went to school in Wayne State University in Detroit, graduated in 2014, and worked a year after I graduated at a place called MLive, covered high school sports there for about a year. Then after a year, I came here to the Journal. I came here in December 2015, and I've been going at it since then.
You know, Fouad, since we don't really necessarily have out-of-state people on the show, can you tell us a little bit about the differences between Ohio football and Michigan football?
Well, both are extremely, extremely passionate about their high school football. I would say more so than a lot of other states out there. There's just nothing like Friday nights in particular places, and Ohio is definitely one of them. I've had the pleasure of doing two of the better states in the country, Michigan and Ohio, so it's been exciting.
Well, you know, as we are here to talk high school football, I should probably let everyone know who we got as guests today. So we have the Avon Eagles in the house, Wellington Dukes, and the Rocky River Pirates. They'll be joining us here in a little bit as we get deeper into the show. Like I said, this is the Varsity Chalk Talk podcast from the Westlake Hooley House. We have two other Varsity Chalk Talks that occur. The one is out in Mentor. That happens on Monday nights as well. The founder of Varsity Chalk Talk, Bill Tilton, takes care of that one. He talks, east side of Cleveland football over there, and there's definitely some good teams over there. You got Mentor, who's ranked number 2 in the state for D1. You got VASJ. You got NDCL. You got Chagrin Falls, Kenston. I mean, a lot of ranked teams over there. Not to say that the West Side's any schlump at all, because there's some really good teams over here, and we got a few of them coming up on the show here.
Right.
And then the other Varsity Chalk Talk that occurs is on Tuesday from Brooklyn. Bill Tilton does that one as well, the Brooklyn Hooley House. And, that one I think is probably fair to call the south of Cleveland teams.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of a little bit of a split there. They get some east, some west, but mostly south of Cleveland.
Sure.
So these are all broadcast, as I said before, as podcasts the day after. So you got the Mentor and Westlake show on Monday. That'll be available on Tuesday, and the Brooklyn one on Tuesday. That will be available on Wednesday. You can find the podcast on both SoundCloud and YouTube. Well, Fouad, where were you at this past Friday? What game did you get the opportunity to take in?
I covered the SWC matchup, Avon at Midview. And to be honest, when you look at the final score, it's 49-6 Avon. But in the first half, Midview had a lot of opportunities, a lot of missed opportunities in that first half. 4 or 5 plays off the top of my head that I remember that they just missed offensively. It was 21-6 at halftime. They could have easily been tied with Avon at the half. But Avon obviously is the better team. Despite having 17 penalties for 170 yards, it shows you that to have that many penalties and that many yards, we're going to have Mike Elder on here in just a couple minutes. To have that many penalties, that many yards, and still win the way they did, it really shows you just the type of team that they have.
And as Fouad said, sorry, I'm having some mic troubles with my other mic here, but as Fouad said, we will have the Avon Eagles up momentarily. I see they are eating right now, so we'll let them chow down a little bit. That way they aren't all nice and hungry up here, because I see some pretty big boys over there ready to play.
They're definitely hungry over there.
And like I said, we have Rocky River and Wellington coming up after that. Tell me a little bit about the high school football year for you so far. What's been some of your surprises, some of the things you've enjoyed, Fouad?
Some of the surprises so far, I think Elyria Catholic getting off to that 3-0 start, they really opened up my eyes. And now they've hit a bump in the road last couple of weeks. But I really like Brian Fox. And just the thing that he's building over there. I mean, they've been down for such a long time over there, and I'm excited to see what he builds there long term. They might not get where they want to get this year, but I think long term, Brian Fox is definitely the guy. That's kind of the team I'm looking at so far.
And, I think it's fair to point out that those 2 road bumps came against Mogador, a perennial state contender, and Valley Forge, which, hey, they've been a pretty surprise team themselves this year at 4-1.
Absolutely. Two pretty good teams to lose against, so I think they'll be fine in the long run.
Well, should we get on into it and get Avon up here?
Let's go.
All right. I will go grab them right now, Fuad.
Right.
Just talk a little bit about
So, Fuad Shahoot back here with the Morning Journal. So far this year has been pretty good for me, coverage-wise. Covered some exciting games. I covered Illyria's opening season matchup when they opened up the stadium, one of the better high school football stadiums I've ever seen. They have a pretty big scoreboard. And they're not really done with the stadium yet. They're about 80% done. There's still parking lots around the stadium that they still need to finish. So that's probably been one of the better highlights so far this season, seeing Illyria open up that beautiful stadium for them.
Like you said, that stadium, that was a good moment for them. We hope they get that first win here soon. I know they have been having some troubles with transition, but Illyria is doing quite well this year, and they'll get that first win. I know they will. We have the Avon Eagles up on stage. Coach Elder's coming up soon. He had to wipe his hands off. He was enjoying some of the fantastic food here at the Hooley House. But they are up here now, so all right, let's bring them on in. All right, guys, thank you for making it out. We always love having the Avon Eagles out here. Just why don't we kick things off? Tell me your name, position, and year at Avon.
I'm Joey Lance. I play tight end and safety, and I'm a junior.
My name is Connor Walsh. I play tight end, and I am a senior.
My name is Joey Allen, and I'm a tight end as well, and I'm a senior.
I'm Coach Elder, and I wish I still played, but I'm just the coach.
All right, Coach, let's keep the mic over with you really quick here. Obviously, Midview Week is always a big week for you guys. You love getting out there and playing the middies. You guys were able to come out with the win this week. What would you say was the key to victory for you guys this week?
Obviously we've had a tremendous rivalry against Midview because they've had some success against us in the past. But we had a great week of practice, and we came out, and there was a game that we really never got in a rhythm. There was a lot of penalties in the football game, so from that standpoint it was a little bit sloppy. But I loved our effort that we played with and the energy our kids played with, and clearly at the end we were able to pull away from a team that we have tremendous respect for. But in that game, the truth is that this year we're more talented than they are right now, and so our kids were challenged to come out and prove that and show that, and they did, and we got away with the W.
Mike, I know you weren't happy about the penalties. Spoke a little bit about on that on Friday. Would you rather have something like that happen in a win, something that you could just move on and learn from moving forward?
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, that was a lot of penalties, and I'm not going to lie to you guys. I don't want to sit up here and talk about officiating, but it was something I've never been part of. And when you went back and looked at the film, what we did as coaches is dissected that and looked at the things that we needed to fix and the other things that maybe we just had to agree to disagree. And that happened a little bit in that game. Some of the calls I just didn't feel were there, but others were. So we just focused on the ones that were and what we need to do to get better. And so it's definitely nice to be able to escape with 17 penalties for 170 yards and win a game 49-6. But I'm leaving church, and I had a parent, ask me like, "Hey, what happened on Friday night?" And they meant that in a way like not to be negative, but that's where we are in Avon. We won 49-6, and I got a what happened on Friday night.
Like you said, you don't want to talk about the penalties, but what can you have the kids learn from getting that many penalties to overcome that and still be able to get a victory?
Again, it's just a matter of you play the next play. Some of the penalties we didn't agree with, but our players did a great job of, okay, next play. And then you go back and you might be second and long, and now you have to get the first down. And we did that a few times. We overcame that a few times. And, I got a penalty on myself for 15 yards, and it was 4th and 5. We were going for it, and now all of a sudden it's 4th and 20, and you got to punt. So I know what I learned from that. I can't put my team in a bad situation. I don't think I necessarily deserved what I got. I've done a lot worse and never got a penalty. But at the end of the day, every official's different, and I got to feel out what they're doing. And so for me, you just learn, and I think all of our players did too, and we've talked a lot about the penalties, and we'll fix them.
Let's bring the players in here now. Midview Week, what does it mean to you guys when you guys go up against Midview? Obviously, like Coach said, fierce rivalry, tough games, that kind of stuff. What does it mean to you guys?
Well, I know 2 years ago and 3 years ago we used to get killed. Or we didn't get killed, but 2 years ago we lost. And to go against them now and we are finally winning, well, not finally, but we're winning. And it means a lot just knowing that it's our time to win. It's our time. They're not that good. We are very good. And it just means a lot knowing that we're kicking their ass.
You know, it's always exciting to play against Midview. I mean, you never know what's going to happen in the game because of how they've performed in the past. So you always just have to expect the unexpected with them.
I personally loved playing them. Those guys were always chirping, so having a game where you can like chirp back and forth and kind of beat them up was really fun for me. That's what I loved about it.
No, Joe, I have to ask you. You had a pretty big play in that game with a punt return touchdown. Yeah. When you look back at it, that was your first career one. What was that like?
Oh, yeah, that was pretty crazy. So when the punt first happened, I was kind of like, do I take the risk? And I was like, you know what, why not? You know, I felt like I had the speed to maybe get like 10, 15 yards and not put us on the 3-yard line. But I actually got a couple pretty good blocks and found a lane, and I was able to just right at the 40, 50-yard line, I was able to just bust it through, which was really nice.
Yeah. You know, when you get a play like that, just how pumped do you feel as soon as you get in that end zone and realize what you just did?
Yeah, I kind of was at shock at first. I couldn't really believe that I just did that, but it was pretty awesome.
Now, for whoever wants to answer this, moving forward, the first half of the season is behind you. What's it going to take for you guys to move forward and have a strong second half of the season?
I'll start off. I think it's mainly just practice. I think that's the biggest thing. We got to keep getting better. There's a lot of things that we don't do as well that we should be at, but we got to just practice really well this week and beyond.
I think after 3 or 4 weeks of playing, you start to really see what you need to get better at, and then we can focus on that from here on out and go far.
I think it's mostly about perfection and fine-tuning like your individual strengths and weaknesses. Like for our receivers, working about our routes, for linemen, their schemes, and like how pass protect and run protect, and quarterback how to throw the ball. And that's really how we're going to have to deal with the second half.
You know, same question for you, Coach. How do you, start game planning for the second half of the season and get the first half behind you? You know, respect what you guys did, but also not dwell on that.
Yeah, you know, our kids understand. We're pretty critical of them, and so it starts with trust. You know, if they trust us, we trust them. You can have some meaningful conversations, and I think all of our players would tell you that we're gonna try to put them in positions to do what they do well and play to their strengths, but they're also going to be made aware of their weaknesses and what they need to improve upon. Those aren't conversations we shy away from in Avon, and as a result, I think we're in a position now where over the next 5 weeks we know where we need to go. Our goal is always to play our best football week 10. Hopefully, you know, that's good enough to share a conference championship or win it outright, depending on what happens with our rivals. And then obviously qualify for that postseason and win a regional championship. If we do, then, you know, a lot of our goals are still ahead of us. So I'm excited about it, and I think our players are too. And, again, I just love the atmosphere we have at practice, because if you showed up and you didn't know any better, you'd be like, what? Do these people even like each other? But we do. We love each other. We care about each other, but we're very critical of our performance.
You know, you guys got Westlake up next. Obviously, they got their first win in a little over a year here last week against North Olmsted. An offense that can really put up points. They're a good offense. Defense can, they can get the stops when they need them. What's kind of the, without giving away secrets, what's kind of the game plan on how to beat them for you guys?
Well, Coach Hall is a good friend of mine, first off, and I have tremendous respect for him as a coach. He knows how to coach football, and his team is, was in the playoffs 2 years ago, and then last year go 0-10. So to see them get their first win and to see how excited they were, that team's riding high. And we win 49-6, and some of us are disappointed because we didn't play to the best of our ability in our mind. So it's just interesting. It's all about perspective. But I do know this. I told our team today, I truly believe that Westlake has the players and the talent to beat us if we don't play well. They demonstrated that against our rivals who beat us, and it was 14-7 in the first half at halftime, and they controlled the clock and controlled the ball. If it wasn't for some explosive plays, they gave Avon Lake all they wanted. So we know that we got to play well. If we don't, they're capable of beating us, but that's life in the Southwest Conference.
Let's bring the players back in here. Like Coach said, life in the Southwestern Conference, not easy. What do you guys think about playing in such a competitive conference? Do you like it? Do you not like it? What's your general thoughts?
Well, I love it. It's never fun walking over teams. I mean, it's good at times, but it's always fun to have a student section full of students that want to watch a really good football game. Like when we play Avon Lake, it's always packed, either home or away, because it's such a good game. It always comes down to the very end, like it did this year. It was lost in the last 30 seconds, 40 seconds of the game. I mean, I really enjoy the tough games.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with him. I love playing in the Southwest Conference. It's a lot more fun to play football when you have a challenge and you always have a target on your back. And we say at practice how even if we are number one, we have to play like we're number two, always trying to chase something. And that's how we get better every week. So,
yeah, I love it. I think it prepares us for the playoffs a lot too, because like first 2 rounds, for the thing in the playoffs, I think these teams are going to be better, but they were just teams that every average team in our conference, which is really nice. So I think it prepares us well for the playoffs if we do make it.
All right, well, I see you have a Browns hat on there.
Yeah.
Give me what you think the Browns are going to do for the rest of the season. What's their record going to be when Week 17 ends?
I'll say at least 5 to 6 wins. Their defense is looking good. I'll give them that, but Baker's he's gonna have to grow, which is huge. But I don't know. You never know with them. They tend to find ways to lose games, but I love them no matter what.
How about the other guys? What do you guys think the Browns are going to do this year?
I think I'm going to say 10-4 or 10-5-1 this year.
Okay.
I got some confidence, Obviously, just watching Baker play 1 week, that doesn't say much. But, I mean, if he plays like that every week, that's some good stuff. And our defense is solid. So
That's a very bold prediction right there.
I have to agree as well. I think they're going to go 10-5-1 just because of how good Landry looks, especially with Mayfield now. They do have a connection. I expect really good things out of them.
Do I get to answer that question?
Oh, of course, Coach.
Well, my whole family's from Pittsburgh, and so I grew up a Steeler fan, and so most people don't want to hear that. But I will tell you what's fun about the Browns having Baker Mayfield and this hope that they all have is that there's a lot of trash talk towards me now, and I had to hear about how the Steelers are going to lose on Monday night. So it's a lot of fun. And for a while there, I didn't mind the Browns or the Browns fans, and I never really talked trash to them. But my players they let me know now when the Browns are doing well. So I hope they don't win another game, quite frankly. But
well, Coach, I will say tonight I'm a Steelers fan tonight because I got my fantasy matchup, Ryan Fitzpatrick, going against me, and I need him to not score 30 points. So I want that defense to come back to life.
That's generally who people cheer for, fantasy players. Joey has Antonio Brown tonight. He needs him to have a good game. So he's a Steeler fan, too.
All right, well, thank you guys for making it out. We love having you guys on the show. You're here every week, so we appreciate you guys. Sorry about the confusion with last week. We ended up having to cancel last minute, but thank you for the flexibility and being out here again this week.
No problem. We appreciate you guys making this opportunity available for us.
No, not a problem. Give it up for the Avon Eagles, everyone. Once again, that is the Avon Eagles. They are 4-1 on the year, getting ready for a showdown with Westlake coming up here. They're coming off a 49-6 win over fellow Southwestern Conference team Midview. So, Fuad, your first segment with the team. What did you think of the first segment there, interviewing a team here on Chalk Talk?
Very insightful kids Avon has. I think it shows the type of program out there has really built over there. He's not only built a great football team, but he has great kids off the field as well. Great kids that do work in the community. So I really like them.
All right, well said. I couldn't have said it better. That was good. Well, who do you want to bring up next? You want Wellington, Rocky River? I'm making you make the call.
Let's go with Rocky River.
All right, you want to go grab them quick? All right, we have the Rocky River Pirates coming up next. They are sitting also at 4-1 on the year, coming off a very strong win against Ashtabula Lakeside, 46-26. They are actually in a rivalry week this week. Week 6, they get to host the Bay Rockets, who are sitting at 5-0. So that should be one of the better showdowns of the week for sure. That's probably one that could end up deciding the Great Lakes Conference as it comes along here. So as they make their way up here, we are joined by some rather large guys. This is always fun having them up here. So, Rocky River Pirates making their way up. Fuad, what do you think of these Pirates we have coming up here? They're looking like some pretty big kids here.
Really big kids. I think you can see why they're off to a 4-1 start.
And I think I spy one of your favorites here in Michael Schoaf.
Yeah, state champion, track and field.
There we go. All right, Coach, thank you guys for making it out. Why don't you introduce yourself and who you brought along with you today?
I'm Rick Stout. I'm the defensive line coach and tight ends coach. This is Michael Schoaf. He's tight end and defensive end. It's Igly Solche. Igly, no. Ergy Solche. Igly's his brother. We were just talking about his brother. He's our center and nose guard. Paul Brosh. He plays tackle, both sides of the ball. Mike Larson. He plays offensive tackle and defensive end. And Hunter, he is just Hunter. He's a strong safety and tight end as well.
You know, Coach, let's kick it off with a little bit of a recap here. You guys got a 46-26 win over Ashtabula Lakeside this past week. Tell us a little bit about the game, what you think went well, what might not have went so well, and what you guys are learning from that game.
Well, I think our defense played really well. Had several turnovers. Hunter here had 2 interceptions himself. Did a really nice job. We're actually starting to get a little bit healthy. We've been banged up for a couple weeks, and our passing game came together. I think we had 340 yards passing, something like that. So our senior quarterback, Mike Finnegan, is doing really well. And, that end of that phase of the game is coming together real well.
That's one of the things I wanted to ask you guys is how different has it been being a pass-first offense this year as opposed to years past where you had some really strong running backs that, you guys would be a more run-oriented team, shall we say?
I think it's been an adjustment, but, we have some decent receivers available to us. And like I said, starting to come off some injuries and getting quite a few of them into the mix. So, it's been an adjustment, but I think we're coming along well.
For some of our listeners that might not know Ashtabula Lakeside, tell us a little bit about what their team is like, because that's a further east team than we typically see west side of Cleveland teams play.
Yeah, Lakeside is usually has very big kids, they're really fast. Last year they handed it to us really well, and we have a lot of respect for them and the way they play. They work really well together. They run a spread type of offense this year. Really good quarterback, lots of receivers, lots of coverages that we had to pick up, and those types of things. So.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. This was your guys' homecoming game?
Yes, it was.
Well, let's bring in the players then. Is there any better feeling than getting a win on homecoming night?
There is no better feeling.
Any reason why?
Well, you get that win, and the next day you're going and partying. So, what's better than that?
There we go.
2 days partying.
Do you guys have any extra energy for homecoming week, or do you guys view it as, just another game where there's, more fun to be had afterwards, shall we say?
Well, personally, I feel compared to beating someone else's homecoming game compared to winning your own, I feel like the winning your own is a lot greater because you could go to any team, and if depending on how each team is, you could win any homecoming or when it gets into their homecomings. But if you win on your homecoming, like that's the one homecoming you got this year, I feel like it has a lot more of a significant effect on your team.
Take me through homecoming week. It's been a while since I've been in high school, so what's homecoming week nowadays? What's that like?
All right, well, homecoming's just kind of like a different atmosphere. Like, for example, throughout the practices, everyone's trying a little harder, trying to bring home a win for the whole town pretty much. Because there's going to be a bigger audience, more people watching. You really want to show up and do your best.
During the school days, is it any different? Do you have, theme days, anything like that?
Yeah. No, we had a bunch of, different days where people are wearing different, clothes. And we even have, a senior skit where we all, have to do this dance with all the cheerleaders.
I see some mixed reaction. I saw some shaking heads, some laughing, some nodding. What was your guys' feelings on that this year?
See, I was not a senior, so I didn't have to dance this year, but I will next year. But it was very funny watching all of them try to dance. He's the best dancer out there for sure. But yeah, it was great. They all had a good time, and it just brought everybody together. It was just a fun time. Everybody enjoys it.
Now, what makes Mr. Schoaf the best dancer?
You see, he's very stiff in his movements, so he's the best one to watch. He's just very stiff.
Now, this week you guys got Bay. What is Bay like? I mean, it's a big rivalry for you guys. What's it like preparing for them?
I mean, Bay is definitely our biggest rival. They're a very good team. We always make sure we prepare a lot for them. I'm really excited for this week, just making sure have good practice, really push ourselves this week, and you definitely can't underestimate Bay. We have to get ready for them this week, and we just have to train hard this week, get ready.
Now, what would it mean for you guys? I think they have a 21-game winning streak in the regular season. What would it mean for you guys to kind of break that streak?
It'd mean a lot, just because there's a lot expected from our group, and to do that, it's just going to make us that much closer to being what we want to be, and it's going to be really tough, but we can do it, and it's just going to come down to who wants it more, and I believe we want it more.
Coach, will bring you back in here. What's a little bit of the game plan against Bay? Obviously a team that likes to run the ball and run it off, and how do you neutralize that type of an offense?
Well, Bay is Bay. They have those things that they do. They like to run the ball. They like to run, off tackle and, a run first oriented. They're always, big kids, strong kids, good running backs. The thing about them is that they're extremely disciplined. They get to their assignments and do what they have to do to make things happen on the field and continue that tradition. They're well coached, and so we have to expect that those types of things are going to continue, that they're going to come out and they're not going to make mistakes, that they're going to run the bar hard, they're not going to go down with arm tackles and things like that, and they're just going to be fundamentally strong, and we're going to have to do those same types of things if we want to compete with them.
Have you noticed a extra layer of excitement amongst the players for this game? Do they seem a little bit more jacked up at practice, ready to go out there against the rivals?
Well, it's Monday. It's kind of hard to say. Yeah.
That's true. Keep forgetting, we used to do the show on a Wednesday, and now it's Monday, and I always forget that. I don't know why. I think I'd remember it because I've only been at work one day. But, let's bring the guys back in here because I think we are at the point of the show where I need to get you guys a little bit embarrassed and find out a little bit more about you guys. We talked with Avon about what they thought the Browns were going to do. Baseball season's winding up here, first off. So the Indians, are they going to make the World Series this year?
I'm a Reds fan, so I'm going to say no.
Okay. Fair enough. Anyone else?
I'm not really into baseball that much, but since I live in Cleveland and they're the only team I watch, I'm going to have a bias towards them, and I believe they will.
All right. Anyone else? All right, so then for the three that didn't answer, they get the next question. I want to know who your celebrity crush is.
Crush, oh boy.
I think we might have stumped them, Fuad.
Let's see. Yeah, Selena Gomez, definitely my crush.
Okay, fair enough.
I've got to say the same, honestly. Selena Gomez.
Okay. Hey, it's a classic pick. There's nothing wrong with that.
The state chip. Yeah, I'll probably say the same. Just join the same boat. Yeah.
I'll give you other two an opportunity. You guys want to chime in on this one too?
I really like Baker Mayfield.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
He's a very good-looking man.
Nothing wrong with that. He is everything you could want. Let's put it that way.
See, I like Jennifer Lopez.
Okay, fair enough.
Now, what's the ultimate goal for you guys this season?
I think our ultimate goal this year is definitely we want to try to win our conference first, and then looking at a bigger picture, we want to try to make playoffs, see if we can make it farther into the playoffs. But we know to do that, we're going to have to work hard throughout the season, make sure we're just trying to go week by week right now, pretty much.
Anyone else want to answer?
Like you said, week by week, but ultimate goal is bringing that trophy home. That's for every team, but our mantra is we're built different, and we used to think ahead, always we're going to go here. We're going to go to the playoffs. But now we're thinking it week by week, and that's our goal. It's week by week.
You know, I like that you said that because that it brings up a point that when I was doing preseason stuff and talking with Coach Wells, he mentioned that you guys can't look ahead any week. Did you guys almost get a wake-up call in week 1 against Fairview in that triple overtime game that you can't look past that opponent? You have to be ready each and every week?
Yeah, I think we were adjusting to our new environment that we had to come into. Being mentally tough, that's a very big goal of ours right now. And, yeah, it got slipped away the first 2 quarters, but that adversity we overcame in the triple overtime, I don't think that's ever been, done in my whole high school career. Even in, the fourth quarter with the Rocky River football team, you've always seen people giving up, and we never gave up, and we came out with that win. So.
Now, like you guys said, a goal is to win the conference. Outside of Bay, who do you think are the other teams that are really stiff competition for you guys for the conference title this year?
Yeah, Valley Forge. I've been watching them, and they've been doing the same offense, and that's given them time to get really good at what they do. And they can run the ball hard. I've seen that, and they can execute. And it's going to come down. We're playing them next week to who wants it more.
All right, we are on stage here with the Rocky River Pirates, 4-1 on the year. Thank you for coming out, guys. We really love having you out on the show. We love getting to talk a little bit of Pirate football, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Give it up for the Rocky River Pirates, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out. Like I said, 4-1 on the year. They have the rivalry game with 5-0 Bay coming up this week. That's going to be one of those games you're going to watch. If you don't know what game you're going to on a Friday yet, head on out to Rocky River Stadium because that's going to be a doozy of a matchup for sure.
Definitely looking forward to it.
All right, so I think that brings us to our last team. What do you think? Should we get the Wellington Dukes up here?
Let's call Wellington up.
All right, Wellington Dukes, they are coming up. They are 1-4 on the year. They got a Week 3 win against New London. They played Lutheran West this past week, a 4-1 team, and ended up on the wrong side of a 50-6 game. But the Dukes, they are a mainstay out here at Chalk Talk. We love having them out here. Coach Rob Howells used to be at North Ridgeville, and he would always come out with the Rangers, and now he continued that tradition here with the Dukes, so we appreciate that. They got another stiff test coming up here against Buckeye, 4-1 team. That makes 3 in a row against 4-1 teams, so that's going to be a real test of character, shall we say, as they make their way up to the stage here. We are joined by the Wellington Dukes. Coach, thank you for making it out. Can you introduce yourself and tell me who you brought with you today?
Absolutely. Coach Kimmick, assistant varsity football coach, Wellington High School.
Caleb Taylor, Wellington High School.
Nick Leposki. Jason Keenan.
All right, Coach. Well, I'm just going to kick it off with you. Obviously, Lutheran West this past week didn't go your guys' way, but just tell us a little bit about what you learned about your team in that game.
I think we've preached to our guys and even our community this entire season. Every game is going to be a challenge. We've got low numbers. We've got a young team. But our message has always been win the day. And if we are able to improve week over week, increase our productivity and our execution, we know that we can compete and be competitive. We told the guys just today, at this time last year, we were 3-4 steps behind where we are. We've given up less points so far this year, and we've scored more points this year, 5 games in. And if we're able to put up 24 points against Buckeye somehow, we'll actually outscore everything we did last year. And it's progress. We understand it's going to be an uphill battle. We're not expecting these guys to go out and win a state championship the first year coming together. But if we're able to make progress week after week, we will build a strong foundation.
It seems like you guys are kind of in the midst of a very difficult part of your schedule. Obviously, you had Clearview, who's 4-1, Lutheran West, who's 4-1, Buckeye coming up, who's 4-1. What do you tell the players to keep their heads right so they don't get down on themselves? Because, like I said, this is a difficult part of your schedule.
A couple weeks ago, we even told the guys, and this is the meat of the schedule. We have 3 really, really difficult games right in a row, 3 playoff caliber teams. And we know that. And I think just being honest and realistic with the team, not giving unrealistic expectations to, hey, we're going to go out and blow these teams out. We know that's not the case. We always expect to win. We always expect to be competitive. But we really want the guys to focus on doing their job, focus on improving their individual skills as it applies to the team. And any given Friday, I mean, we just saw on Saturday, Old Dominion upset number 13 ranked Virginia Tech. They had a 1.8% chance of winning. So anything is possible if we go out and execute. So believe, win the day, and if we don't win, at least let them know that they had a good game and they got out of there, lucky.
You guys are about to kick off Patriot Athletic Conference divisional play here. What do you see as the outlook for your division this year?
What we've seen on film and the teams we've been able to scout so far. Obviously, Buckeye is going to be a really, really tough game. But realistically, we see that we can compete against Firelands, Keystone, Brookside. We think those are 3 games that we can compete in. And like I just said previously, any given Friday, we are able to come out, especially when we execute and we tie up our loose ends. We really feel like we can compete with most of these teams week in and week out. And then I told the guys, when it comes to Black River at the season finale, throw the record out the window. It's a rivalry game. I don't care what the scores have been in the past, what the record is. You go in and it's a dogfight to the end, and whoever's there when the dust settles. So, realistically, we expect to be competitive the rest of this season. We've been improving week over week. The chips are going to fall where they're going to fall, but we're going to be able to hold our heads high knowing that we played the best we could.
A question for the kids. What's the first-year coach over at Wellington this year? What's it been like, the relationship with you guys so far this year?
Relationship between the coaches?
Yeah.
The coach, it's a real close relationship. The coaches, they really care, and we'll come into practice and they'll have drinks and they'll have snacks for us, stuff to refill us after having a long day at school, and they just give it their all.
Yeah, just kind of tag along to what Caleb said. The coaches care. Every single person in that locker room cares about each one of us, not just as a player, as a person. And Coach Kimmick brings in just snacks for us to refuel after a day of school. They help us out on the practice field. We don't have enough kids to run 2 ways. We don't have a scout team. Coach Kimmick, Coach Conley, all the coaches. We have a 60-something-year-old coach dressing up, not suiting up, but puts on a penny and plays DN because they care about us that much.
How difficult of an adjustment was it switching to a new coach, switching to Coach Howell's system that he wanted to get implemented for you guys this year?
As a young team, we made the switch pretty smoothly. We lost, I want to say it was 8 seniors last year. We lost quite a few seniors last year. Brought in a lot of freshmen, brought in a lot of sophomores. The switch was really smooth.
Nobody really knows what it's like going through a struggling season so far. It's best to ask the players themselves what's it like. How have you guys stuck together through this 1-4 season so far?
I think, again, we just care about each other. It's all about playing for your brothers. If you're not going to don't play for yourself, play for the dude next to you. Because if you mess up, he could get hurt, the team looks bad. Do your job. Trust your brother to do his job.
This is the last year of the PAC. What does it mean to you guys to know that you guys are playing in the final season that the PAC will offer to Northeast Ohio?
I think it just shows that the competition we're playing right now is really good. We're playing, again, this is the meat of our schedule. We got 3 4-0 teams. Buckeye is perennially a state playoff team. Luther and West they could make the state playoffs this year. Clearview coming off a 9-1 season. They're bringing back a bunch of seniors. They're going to be a state playoff team. And I think that's just making us tougher as a young team. We're just building experience, getting tougher for next year when we kick out some of the bigger schools.
And, like you said, it's an experience factor. In years past, the PAC necessarily has only sent maybe 1-2 teams to the playoffs. To have the PAC on the rise, how much is that going to benefit you years down the road here?
I think it's just going to help us out because we're finally playing schools our size. We're Division 6 in football. We got 28 kids on our roster, or 25 kids at best. And we're finally going to be playing schools that match up to us.
We're going to bring it back over here to Coach. Coach, is there a particular bright spot that you could look at on this football team that you could build on, not only for this season but moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. When you look at the caliber and the quality of players that we have, number one, we're young, which means that there's no bad habits. The bad attitudes are minimized. We have the opportunity to mold and develop a young team, teach them a better way to do things. So by the time the freshmen and sophomores are juniors and seniors, they will be a battle-tested, resilient team that are used to going against older schools. When they are the older team, it will then in turn be in their favor. So, I mean, the bright spots have been, as Nick said, the camaraderie. They really have stuck together. I mean, I can probably count on one hand maybe the amount of complaints I've heard all season long. They just don't. And they've not once made an excuse about, well, we're younger, we got a lot of freshmen, we only have 20 guys. I've not heard one excuse out of this team. So in terms of the quality of players that we are working with, it's tough. We want to win. Their effort deserves wins. Unfortunately, the scoreboard's not going to show a lot of what we're building right now. But as a coaching staff, we know that. And we tell the guys all the time, trust the process, trust the process, trust the process. Because in a year or two, when we're on the other end and we're able to reload, then all of a sudden Wellington's back on top where we used to be, and now we're the ones that are contending for a conference championship.
We talked about it a little bit earlier. Buckeyes up next. Without giving away any of your game plans or any of your secrets, what do you have to do to be able to hang with a team like Buckeye and possibly get the upset here?
Execute. It really comes down to execution. We know it's a David-Goliath matchup. We've been very honest with the guys. The thing about these guys is they're not afraid of anybody. And we've talked about the challenging last 2-3 weeks we've had in coming into Buckeye. They're not afraid of Buckeye. They just know that they're older, they're going to be more experienced, it's going to be a tough game. But execution's it. If we are able to execute our game plan, we can compete. And we are confident we can put up a good fight. And, I mean, at the end of the day, when the fourth quarter ends, if we're on the bottom, okay, we'll reload. If we're on top, great. We'll enjoy the victory and then move on.
We talked with Avon and Rocky River a little bit about professional sports here, so we want to get your guys' opinion as well. NBA Media Day kicks off today. Will the Cavs make the playoffs without LeBron James on their roster?
I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs, but I think that they can paint some really happy trees.
I think LeBron's a very powerhouse player. No matter where, a team will struggle after losing him, no matter who it is. I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but I do think that they can make it pretty far in the season without him.
I think it's going to be just a standard rebuilding year. We got a new point guard, young kid, likes to win, likes to compete. There was a game in college where his whole team got ejected. He had 4 players on the court, and he went off. So he's a winner, and I think he's going to contribute.
I believe in the Cavs. We're going to win the playoffs.
Here we
go. I never played high school football, so what's it like for you guys being on a football team in high school right now? What's the experience like in general?
I love it.
Why?
Gives me something to do. Makes me express my anger. Makes me happy because I like
freedom.
Yeah, I just like giving it all on the field. I love the feeling when I hit somebody. I love everything about the sport because it makes me really happy.
Especially as being a freshman playing on a varsity team, it's crazy. It's a lot different than you would expect. It's a huge jump from going from middle school football to where you can stand there and push everyone around to, wait, these guys are bigger than me. I have to improve myself as a player. I believe that we're a very young team with an amazing future ahead of us with a lot of young guys, and having so many young guys now competing against the big powerhouse teams that we do have in these 3 weeks here it's great experience and a lot of learning curves for us to get around.
And I just love the game. I love everything about it. Love the culture. Love the brotherhood. I play 3 sports, and Friday night in the locker room, there's no feeling like it. Because it's the only sport where if you mess up, your teammate is going to get hammered. Like, someone's going to get hurt if you mess up. The sense of brotherhood and family is amazing.
All right, Coach, I'm going to bring you back in here and not necessarily put you on the spot, but I want your interesting perspective on this. Let's say 10 years down the line, these guys, they're deciding they want to go on a professional wrestling adventure. What would their WWE nicknames be?
Screaming Eagle. Lunatic Leposki.
There we go.
And Caleb the Crusher.
All right. You guys, what would Coach's nickname be?
Muscle Baby.
Muscle Baby. All right. All right. Well, we are up here with the Wellington Dukes. Thank you guys for coming out. We love having you guys out. Yes, of course you can.
Yeah, before we jump off, I'd like to give a shout-out to the Wellington High School Band. We took the guys up on Saturday to Avon Lake to go cheer on our band. They actually took first place in the music division, and one of our players, Cam Brinker, is actually part of that band. So they support us every Friday night. We wanted to go out and support them. They did an awesome job, so we're really proud of their accomplishment.
Congratulations to the Wellington Band. I was in band in high school, so that's good news to me. I like hearing that kind of stuff because I was that dude who liked to play the drums, so I was always I was the loud one, shall we say. We'll put it that way. So thank you for bringing that up because I always love giving credit to as many people as we possibly can.
Absolutely. Our pleasure.
Thank you guys for coming out. We love having you out here. Love to have you here each and every week whenever you guys can make it out.
Thanks,
I know it's a
guys.
hike,
Appreciate
so thank you. Once again, Wellington Dukes, they are getting ready for a showdown with Buckeye this week. They're kicking off their Patriot Athletic Conference divisional play here. Fuad, first Talk. How you feeling?
It was great. I would like to do it again if you don't mind.
Oh, well, we'll get you out here. Don't worry. You haven't been here, so this is the time where I kind of, talk with Andy and Ram a little bit about the upcoming week, some of the stuff that we're expecting, some of the games we're looking forward to. So let me pull up this week's slate, which is right here, Fuad. Just looking it over, what do you think some of the big games are going to be that you're looking forward to the most?
Well, the thing that really jumps out to me is Amherst at Olmsted Falls, big SWC game. I think this is the game where Amherst could really make a statement, show that their undefeated season so far isn't a fluke.
And actually, I want to add on to that. I think they made a statement last week against Berea Mid-Park because they've been showing all year that they have a high-powered offense, and their defense has been pretty good too. But they showed that, hey, a team can throw, because I think their Trevor Baczynski, Berea Mid-Park's quarterback, threw for almost 500 yards, but still ended up getting the L because that that Amherst offense, it's the real deal.
And it's a big game for Olmsted Falls as well. They've already lost a conference game to Avon, so they can't afford a second one to Amherst this week.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see. This is not a knock on Berea Mid-Park because I think they are a fantastic team, but they tend to let the defense go a little bit by the wayside sometimes and just outscore their opponents. Olmsted Falls, they can score, but they can also stop you. So this will be a really interesting matchup to see.
Right, and another game, we just talked about it with Rocky River. Bay at Rocky River, that's such a big game, big deal for both programs. And that's at home. That's at Rocky River, so it should be a little bit interesting.
And, week 6, it's never too early to talk about playoffs, but that is a lot of playoff points in that game, no doubt.
Yeah.
The one that kind of sticks out to me, and, in years past it may not have been quite as big, the Lutheran West at Columbia game. You got Columbia sitting at 3-2, you got Lutheran West sitting at 4-1. Both teams have legitimate playoff and conference aspirations, so I think that could be a pretty good showdown there.
And I feel like with 2 losses for Columbia, the pressure's really on them. They can't afford any slip-ups.
Agreed.
In the second half of the season.
100% agreed. Another one on this docket here that I think, and I believe it's the one you're at, Lorraine at Cleveland Heights. I think that one's not quite getting the heralding that it probably should deserve. Cleveland Heights, I believe, sitting there at 4-1, Lorraine 3-2 with, losses to a Euclid team that's probably going to make the playoffs and a Canadian team last week in Clarkson Academy who, their only 2 losses are to Cincinnati St. Xavier and Moeller, 2, shall we say, state contending teams every year. So I think Lorraine could be on a little bit of a vengeance mission here with Cleveland Heights this week.
And again, another team that's 3-2. So second half of the season, no slip-ups for David McFarland and his team. But we'll see how they do on the road. I like their offense. Jordan Jackson at quarterback, Tyshawn Lighty at wide receiver. I like the threats that they have. I'm looking forward to getting out there.
If you had to look at this slate and pick maybe a upset special of the week, what do you think that one might be?
An upset. Well, does Rocky River count?
Yeah,
over Bay?
That can count.
I think since they're at home, they're off to a 4-1 start. They're riding high.
There we go.
I think that's a game to look out for.
All right. I think for me, the interesting one that I think could be a bit of an upset special. I actually have 2 I'm going to give you. The first one is Midview at Berea Mid Park. We're going to see just how Berea Mid Park responds to that loss. And, Midview's got a high-powered offense that they just haven't been able to put it together. Sooner or later, it's going to click, and they're going to put up a ton of points on a team. And I think this could be that week.
And DJ saw last week after they lost to Avon, pointed to some bright spots. He really believes they're heading in the right direction. You're not going to see him in the record right now, but he's such a good coach. He'll find bright spots and things to build on moving forward.
And, I don't want to get past the Clearview at Overland. I like Clearview. I think they have a strong team this year, but I think Oberlin is a team that is kind of flying under the radar. They got a quarterback in Azari Hairston who has been fairly solid this year, and Raven Isom, he's been a sneaky good running back who has been putting up almost an average of 150, 200 yards a game.
And you want to talk about another kind of statement win? I think if they want to show that they are truly heading in the right direction, beating a playoff team from last year in Clearview would go a long ways.
Yes, for sure. Well, Fuad, I think this pretty much wraps it up for, what is this, Week 6, the Week 6 edition of Varsity Chalk Talk. Thank you for coming out. Definitely appreciate you. To all the people listening, we would love to have you out here for the live show. Like I said earlier in the show, it is on Mondays from the Hooley House in Westlake, 24940 Sperry Drive, Westlake, Ohio. Fuad, you've been to the Hooley House a couple times. As you look around here, how can you not have a good time here? I'm just looking. I see at least 30 TVs. I see we got the Oregon game on. Indians look like they might be playing here. Maybe it's in a rain delay. I'm not quite sure, but that's on. I'm sure Monday Night Football is going to be kicking on here any minute now. Probably get some pregame stuff. There's literally everything you want to watch. It's on here.
And good food over here, too.
Oh, for sure. I'm ready for some hula hunks when we finish this up. I love those things. If you want to, check out their website. It's OneFubPub. If I could talk, I could really do this show much better.
That'd work, too.
The number one, funpub.com.
There you go.
Thank you very much for tuning in this week, and we will see you next week with a whole new slate of teams and a whole new slate of various games to talk about.